caring for children has always been one of the deepest and most satisfying things a human being can do. The world is changing, and there's never been a more important time for childcare business owners to start marketing their businesses. In this podcast, we're going to be talking about everything that can help you grow your childcare business and stand out in a crowded market. Welcome to the Childcare Business Growth Podcast. Hey everyone, it's Nick here from Childcare Business Growth. I am super excited for another podcast with you guys today. And today I have the pleasure of having Summer Picha join me. Now, I'm not going to do this anywhere near enough justice to give the introduction that Summer deserves, but we had a chat, was it about 2 weeks ago, Summer?
Yeah.
And coming off that call, first of all, we had a really lovely chat around Summer's experiences and how she's had a hugely successful childcare business. And I'm not going to, spoil that story, but the conversation you and I had, I think there was a big connection there around some of the issues that you've dealt with, and more importantly now, the impact that you want to have on the industry moving forward. And I thought it was so important for us to jump on and do this podcast, because everything you're going to talk about today is all the issues that childcare businesses are facing right now. Whether you're a center director or you're an owner, you're going through these challenges. So I'm not going to do it anywhere near justice. Do you want to give us an introduction, Summer? Tell us about your story, everything you told me 2 weeks back, and then we'll go into the topics from there.
Fantastic. Thanks, Nick. Hi, welcome, everyone. Good to see you all. So let me just briefly tell you a little bit about myself and my journey in the early education world. About 11, 12 years ago, my business partner and I opened up a school, and we were teachers at that time. So we were just really incredibly inspired by a conference we were at, and actually reached out to the founder of the school and said, can we take you out for dinner? Because everything you're saying, we really, really resonate with. And so we asked all these wildly inappropriate questions that one would in their early 20s about money and budget and all of these things. By the time we got done with dinner, we had a full proposal ready for our boss. When we got back to work, we said, okay, we were so excited. We need to tell you this. This is the vision. This is what we're doing. And our boss said, ooh, I'm glad you're inspired, but that's not the direction we're headed. So we didn't know what really to do. So what we ended up doing was signing a lease on a building and opening up our own school. And all of that happened within about a month. We ran a one-room schoolhouse with 30 students. And we really, actually, our only goal was to be the best Montessori school. That was it. There was no SMART goals. There was no strategic plan. It literally was just show up and be the best every day. Because
you came from I'm sorry to interrupt, but you came from a teacher background, didn't you?
Yes.
You went to this event, and one of the things we didn't touch on briefly there, which I thought was fascinating, you didn't even know about this conference, did you? You just asked to go along. You guys went, and it just totally changed your life from there.
Yes, exactly. The school had some extra money set aside for continuing education. They asked me and my co-teacher at the time, do you want to go to Chicago to this conference? Sure. The school can pay for a vacation to Chicago for us. We'd love that.
Yeah.
And I mean, when we showed up to the conference, picture the two most uninterested people, like yoga pants, big sunglasses. We didn't even have a notebook or a pen. And then suddenly the founder of the program started talking, and we were like scrambling to find something to write with, and ended up having pages and pages of notes, just pure, sure inspiration.
So you went from being a teacher to then going back with this whole new business plan to your facility at that time, and then in a space of a month, finding the premises and opening with a number one goal, like most people do. It's not about the money, it's about the impact. You're going to be the best in your area, what you do, because you believe you can do it better. You've got that vision of what you want to do. I just think that part alone is just amazing, and we could do a whole session around how you managed to pull something like that off in a month, which
Oh, it was
fascinates
wild.
me. Unbelievable. But then obviously, you took on that center, and what was the next step from there? What happened from there?
Sure. From there, we ran that location for about 3 years, and we ended up hiring people. We had a staff of 4, and it was okay money, enough to live on, not enough to save. And then we were driving one day and we saw this building and we said, oh, that would be a perfect school. It was an old bank.
Okay.
And so every single time we drove past this building, we said, look, there's our school. That's our next school. Look at that school. High school. And the building actually happened to cost $1.6 million.
Wow.
So going back to, we had enough money to, feed ourselves, but not necessarily save.
Yeah.
Where were we going to come up with $1.6 million? Well, funny story. My husband, actually, he's in tool sales. He gets an email and it's about a med spa. So he responds to his client and he said, hey, I think you sent this to me by mistake, but are you an investor? Because my wife owns Montessori schools and she has a building she wants. And he sends the email back and he says, yes, I did send this to you by mistake. And yes, I am an investor. And if I can't help your wife, I have friends who can. 4 months later, we were in the new building.
No. Oh my gosh. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Power of attraction, right?
Wow. That is crazy. That's unbelievable. So 4 months later, you're in the building. And how many children in this building?
Sure. So this location had a capacity of 158.
Wow.
And
Huge jump.
Yes, to go from 30 to 158. It was about a mile down the road. So we kept our initial 30. We just moved. And then we had to frantically hire new staff. We had to frantically, figure all of this out.
Yeah.
But it was such a whirlwind and an amazing time. When we put up the sign, we said, well, let's have it say now enrolling, because with 158, you'll always be enrolling. We were full within the first 6 months.
Wow. That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yes.
Wow.
So from there, we opened another location. And we always said we go by feels. So we walk into a building, and if it feels right, that was our building. That was our space. And so we opened another school, and then the third school a year after that.
Wow.
Yeah. So we ended up with 450 students.
Wow. 400. And how many team members?
92.
Wow. Okay. So some of us that are struggling managing, maybe 5 or 6, you're definitely the person that can obviously help those childcare businesses, right from the small locations up to the big ones. You've been there and you've dealt with those issues, those day-to-day issues that have come about. So guys, if you're watching this, you're definitely in the right place. If you're facing any challenges around whether that's staffing or, just dealing with exhaustion, or the feeling of guilt with everything that's been going on recently, someone's going to help you cover off all these points. So tell us what happened off the back of that. You've got the locations open, you've got 92 team members on board. What happened from there?
Sure. Well, my mom was actually running into some health issues. And so my business partner and I made the decision that it was time for us to take care of our families. So we sold our schools, and we actually closed it was February 28th of 2021, 2 weeks before COVID hit. So talk about timing there. But the real reason we sold was because it was time for us to take care of our families.
Yeah.
So I was thrilled to sell the school and move on to this new adventure, and a little sad at the same time, because the early childhood field is just my passion. So enter COVID, and suddenly all the parents started calling, texting, emailing. How do I do this? How do I set my home up? And I thought, well, if I'm going to spend all my time away from my family, once again, helping people, because I really love to serve people and I love to help people. It's just, I think there's always that buzzword of core values, but service really is just in my DNA. It's who I am. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to spend all my time helping people, I'm definitely going to get paid for this. So I started a new business, and the business it's called Grit and Grace Lifestyle. And that business was parent coaching and consulting, helping people get set up in their homes to take on these new challenges. From there, I realized, yep, I like talking to parents. It's fun. And I like helping people. But I really, really miss my ECE people. So
Yeah.
I created a training course. It's all about community and connection too. Well, with COVID, parents can't go into the building. So there was just this huge gap of connection.
Totally.
So I created this training course for parents. It was an 8-week course. We'd pop on Zoom once a month. We'd talk about parenting problems and really just have these great connections. And that was through different preschool programs here in the Twin Cities. And it was my favorite hour of the whole week. I just loved being back with the people that I love to serve.
Excellent. And what types of things came up off the back of that? Now, there's a lot, guys. There's a lot here we haven't gone into because we're going to get to the main topics we're covering. But honestly, if you get the opportunity just to connect with someone, just find out some of the story, because one of the things I think, with the greatest respect to you, you're not someone going out there saying, I achieved these amazing things. You're very modest in what you've actually achieved. But guys, just tell me something, just really quickly before we go into that, because I don't want people to miss this. From opening your first location to selling, how long was that period?
It was 10 years.
So in 10 years, and we're not going to go into the figures, but all I'm going to say to you guys, in 10 years, someone's gone from being a school teacher to transforming, having multiple locations, catering for over 450 children and 92 staff, and then selling for, not to go into the figures, but a substantial sum. And was that, just to be clear, was that, obviously, as you said, the plan, I guess, up until that point, before family health,
Yes.
was it to continue, or was it,
Yes.
so the plan really was to continue? So it's interesting. Again, there's a whole conversation there around, exit strategy. What was the long-term plan, but also being in a position to be able to adapt quickly to be able to change too. And I know we talked briefly about your story around how long the process took. So guys, just on that alone, someone offers a huge amount of value and knowledge in this area. It's definitely worthwhile making sure you connect and check out all the content that someone's putting out around that side too. So, but going on to the point of what we were talking about today is around these big challenges. Tell me some of the big challenges people, owners, center directors are facing right now that you're helping them solve.
Fantastic. Well, the biggest one right now is staff. Finding staff, keeping staff, finding quality people to care for these children. That's number one. The second problem I'm running into is just this sheer level of exhaustion that essential employees are running into. People are really, really tired. And then the third one is this insane, overwhelming feeling of guilt when things happen that are out of our control. I think most people do get into this industry to serve. And so the idea of having to shut down for 2 weeks on a dime, that leaves people with this crazy feeling of guilt.
Yeah. So, and we were just having a conversation before we went live that we had a similar instance in our business recently because of the big C word. And, we were faced with those challenges, and that tests you as an owner. It tests you because of feeling you're letting the team down, feeling you're letting families down. And now you obviously go out there, now you serve, you provide this amazing service to owners, these center directors, etc. as well. What are these the common things that people are now coming to you with as their challenges?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so these are the big core problems. So if we were to give people, for example, the three issues right now: staffing, find the right staff, motivating those staff, obviously because of things like exhaustion and just a feeling of overwhelm, and of course, as the owner, feeling that sense of guilt. What kind of tips can you give people for dealing with these challenges right now?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that, because I will tell you from my coaching practice, I'm also a certified parent coach. And one thing that I took away from my coaching practice is this shift in mindset. people are good and want to do what's right. And I just really resonated with that. So when we're talking about training to retain your staff or motivating your staff, just having that in the back of your mind. People are good and want to do what's right.
Yes.
So wake up every day as a new day, almost like we do with the children, right? You have that pesky child and you have to wake up and show up every day a new day. Same with our staff, same with our team. People are good and want to do what's right. Another thing I like to tell people is to get creative with the training. So often our training and onboarding processes, they're the things that sort of get pushed to the side because we have to deal with legal things like ratio. And there's always some sort of fire that's coming up. You know, maybe somebody's got a bloody nose or so-and-so is going to be 20 minutes late. It's always something.
Totally.
So when you find a quality staff member, get them in and commit to doing an onboarding process. Because if we go back to people are good and want to do what's right, but if they don't know what's right because you haven't taken the time to onboard them, then everyone's living in this state of confusion.
Totally.
So that, and then the third reason, or the third thing under train to retain is acknowledgement. You know, a simple thank you goes a long way. We used to do things, we had this basket of treats and goodies, and it was like nail polish and lip gloss and post-it notes and pens. And then anytime we saw somebody, whether it was going above and beyond, or maybe even just doing what they were supposed to be, it's almost like catch them being good. And then you let them choose something out of the basket. And then they go around with their little nail polish, like, oh, look what I got, look what I got.
Yeah, exactly.
It encourages other people to do the same. So they get to choose a new nail polish or lipstick. And so under the staffing, those are the three big things. Remember, people are good and want to do what's right. Get that culture of onboarding and training. And then also acknowledge your staff, acknowledge your team, know that they're showing up every day.
Exactly. Nice. Very nice. And from a point of view of exhaustion and things like that, obviously some of the things you've already talked about there already address those things because, you know, it's that one of the biggest things I find is that sometimes when you're having a tough day is, you know, I always remember someone saying this, that what other job do you work in where you potentially are in a room with a screaming child for several hours a day? You need to ask to go to the bathroom. You need to stay in the ratio. You can't just walk out. You know, there's not many careers like that.
Nick, you also can't have hot coffee because it's illegal.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, so you get to listen to this crying baby.
Yeah.
And you can't have a cup of hot coffee.
Yeah, and you need to ask for permission just to go to the bathroom. It's crazy. It's a big wake-up call. I think some of us sometimes we don't necessarily take it for granted, but we do probably, not realize until we're in that situation. My wife and I were talking about this last week. Team members often to work over, and we need to be rewarding and praising these team members because it is a tough job to do. And let's face it, as an industry, it's not the best paid industry. And, my wife, Jen, made a point 2 nights ago that people need to realize that it is much easier to retain your team than go and find new team members, to look after that team and really value that team and go out your way to maintain that team over trying to go out and find someone that actually might not even be the best fit for your business anyway.
I love that. And that's where you go back to that mindset piece. People are good and want to do what's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Drill that in.
Anything else you give people tips around the exhaustion part? How do you?
Well, yes. So I have a couple here. The first one is make sure your schedule sets you up for success. Okay. So what I mean by that is, and I'll just give you an example of how we used to staff. When I talk about staffing patterns, we used to staff 4 staff members in each classroom. And our classrooms were anywhere, our infant rooms had 12, our toddler rooms had 18, and our preschool classrooms had 30, I think, were the capacity. So we staffed 4 staff members per classroom because then if somebody calls out, you're not being pulled into the classroom as the director or as the owner. They're still in ratio. If everyone happens to be there that day, cool, they get to share the duties and spread out the work. So once again, you're just taking a little bit of exhaustion away from your team members and your admin team. So take a look at your budget, take a look at what you can do, but then get creative with those staffing. Do you need to go to 4 10-hour days? Do you need to, we did, I think it was like 7 to 3:30,
Okay.
8 to 4:30. And then we did an 11 to 6 and a 10 to 5. So we just really made sure that we had enough people. And it helps with for the directors and the admin to not have to jump in and be crazy at times, because you don't have to cover ratios. You're always covered with ratio. The second thing is delegate tasks. So, and that's so hard for owners and admin team. It's so hard. But going back to your point, our incredible educators, they are in an industry where they have to ask to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So giving them more responsibility, saying, hey, I can't change that because that's a law. I can't change it. But what I can do is give you more responsibility that I know you can do because I trust you and I care about you and I chose you. And so even though you're giving a person more work, they'll feel proud. They'll feel this sense of pride and ownership and start to do a better job. And then you, as the administrator, have the opportunity to drink that hot cup of coffee in your office and take a breather, get through your emails in one setting. So start to think that way. Some delegation. What things can you delegate? That way. And then the other thing is for the owners, turn off your phone when you get home. It's okay. It's okay. This is us giving you permission to spend some time with your family, to relax, to take a nap, to put your feet up, and then turn it back on and answer all the fires. But take some time for yourself. You have to. This is a global pandemic. It's something we've never been through before. And you have to take care of yourself so you can be there for other people.
Yeah, nice. Very nice. And there's one that I picked up on recently, if you don't mind me sharing. There was
of course.
I was talking to an owner recently that has 5 settings. And one of the things that they said, which always stuck with me, is I said, oh, are you in the Facebook groups, where all the other owners are in talking? She said, I never, ever go in those groups because it's just doom and gloom. And these tend to be the groups where it's maybe the owners and it's a group set up purely for owners to be there to support them, etc. But what often tends to happen is it becomes, unfortunately, a lot of negativity in there, because it's talking about, oh, this happened and this staff member did this. And I personally feel, I totally agree there. I feel you're taking on someone else's burden, and actually you're dealing with even more issues that compound the problems you're already facing in your business. What's your thoughts on that? What type of approach do you have?
I think there's a time and a place for it. I'm a person who feeds off of other people's energy for sure. Yeah. I'm actually reading this really great book, and I'll have to put it in the comments because it's called The Other. And it talks about how other people's energy really affects you in all you do. And so just knowing that that's my personality, sometimes I do have to silence these groups. Sometimes they're really amazing because you can get ahead of it.
Of course.
Get ahead of it, meaning everything that's coming your way, right? Like, oh boy, this is happening over here. It's coming my way. So sometimes you can get ahead of things. And then other times it's just that spiral of panic and negativity. And once again, going back to people are good and want to do what's right. It's not that people are meaning to do this. It's just, this is people's bread and butter. This is their livelihoods. This is everything to them. And so of course there's a level of panic. And if you're not there, you don't need to suck in that energy. So I have done things silence the group for 30 days, just to take a breather and a refresher and to say, who am I? Where do I stand? What are my values? What's important to me? I need to get back to that.
Yes.
So I do think it's good to pop in occasionally to see what's on the horizon. And I really do have to, I am a type of person who has to protect my energy.
Yeah, no, I think you've nailed it there, that it is one of those things. There's a lot of great content and things come up.
Yes.
But unfortunately, sometimes when it becomes a very addictive thing, you can go in there and just happen to browse. And it, as you say, you do feed off some of that negative energy where some people might be having those challenges right now. So
Yes.
I think the other big point you made there is about having that time to switch off. Just if you don't mind, what were some of the ways that you used to switch off? So you go home, obviously you've got 92 team members.
Yes.
How did you deal with it? How were you able to draw the line and go home at the end of the day?
Well, I will tell you, I also have 3 children. So for me, showing up for my children, whether it was band concerts or doctor's appointments, things like that, those were non-negotiables for me. So
Yeah.
I was the mom who went to the Valentine's Day parties and was at every vision therapy appointment you could imagine. So knowing that I was taking time out of my daytime to do that, but I also had an amazing, amazing, amazing team. So I could walk out the door because I trained them. I could walk out the door
Yeah.
and know that they had everything handled. So then when I would get home, we would have dinner as a family. And then it would be my time to log back in and say, okay, so what went on these 4 hours while I was away doing this stuff? What did I miss? And it's all about setting up communications as well. So we had a running list where a Google Doc or something where all of our admin team would just make notes. Oh, so and so's having a baby. So and so got rear-ended in our parking lot. So and so. And so I would read through that, and then I would be able to shut it down because I had all the information. If I ran into Mrs. Lee, who's having a baby, I could congratulate her. So it's just setting up little systems on the back end too.
Nice. And so just to, because I'm conscious of obviously your time as well. There's so much value that we could go into here. And guys, there's been so many nuggets that you could take away from this and implement straight away, literally tomorrow in your business. But if people wanted to connect with you, Summer, and find out more, well, before we go into that, how do you help those businesses right now? So someone comes to you facing these challenges.
Yes.
How do people connect you? What do you do to help them get over these hurdles?
Excellent. Oh, so I've created a new model specifically for all of the stakeholders in early childhood programs. And by that, I mean the owners, the admin, the educators, parents, the board, if you have one. And it's called the Conscious Classroom Certification Model. And this model it's a 6-unit training session. It's a 12-month program. So we'll be working together for 12 months and just connecting all of the stakeholders to the vision and then upping that training. And sort of like we talked about earlier, that onboarding process, that training, things like that.
Nice. And if people are interested in finding out more, how do they go about connecting with you to start that inquiry process and find out a bit more about the program?
Perfect. Well, my website is called consciousclassroommodel.com.
What I'll do, guys, I'll post the link down in the comments down below as well, so you can pick this up, and we'll send it out on email to everyone too.
Oh, thank you.
Well, not at all. No, I think it's really important because let's face it, right now, even if we hadn't had the last 18 months that we've had, the help that you provide to these businesses is essential, regardless of the situation where everyone's going through right now. It's always been an issue. It will always be an issue.
Yes.
It's something that definitely needs addressing, and it's escalated tenfold because of everything that's gone on and everyone's, the challenges we faced over the last 18 months. So guys, I want to encourage you all to make sure, number one, you go back and listen to this podcast, write down the notes. Number two, make sure you connect with Summer and get on a call where you can find out more about the program, because you're going to speak directly to Summer to find out more about whether this program is right for you. This isn't a sales pitch or anything like that. It's a case of booking on a call and actually talking through the program and the challenges. You might find that it's not right for you. You might find it's perfect for you. But this is for typically, what size of business do you help, Summer? Who would this be applicable to?
Sure. So I have clients who have 1 location, and I have clients who have up to 15 locations. So right around, I would say those are the perfect clients.
Yeah. And team-wise, does it matter even if you've got 1 team member, however many?
Nope. Every person gets their own login, own portal login. Every single person on your staff member. So not just the admin team. Every single person on your team gets a login to the portal to access specific trainings that we're talking about.
Yeah. And one point I want to end with here. I know some people already be thinking, I'm not ready for this. Maybe I'll do this when I get a bit bigger. And I was on a call earlier today, and I cannot stress enough, the quicker you get these things sorted out, the quicker your business will grow, the less headaches you'll have, and the more time you'll spend doing the things you love. Okay, guys? So don't think about this as this is something you need to put off. Because one of the biggest things I think most of us face in this industry is, how many times have you maybe got a new team member on board and you get frustrated with them because they haven't done something the way you wanted, or they weren't the right person in the first place, or they left for whatever reason? How much time and energy goes into that process? So the quicker you can get this put in place now, I'd say it's even better for those that are right at the start to start to look at these things from day one. At any stage, someone's going to be able to help you guys, but don't think about this that it's something you can leave for a while. Get this embedded into your business right now, because I promise you, it will save all those headaches that both Sam and I have probably gone through many, many times over in our locations. So anything else, Summer, you wanted to finish with? Any last tips you wanted to give the team?
I think I just want to piggyback on what you just said. This is an industry where everything's on fire all the time. And I always like to tell people, let's take control. Let's be proactive, not reactive. Yeah. So just to piggyback on what you were saying, Nick.
I totally agree with you. Summer, I am extremely grateful for your time. I know you're very busy. Obviously, you run the business and you got the children as well. So there's a lot going on for you. So I'm extremely grateful for you jumping on. Guys, I'll make sure I post the link down below where you can book a call with Summer. Make sure you connect with Summer as well. Follow her on social media. And I know she's going to keep providing a huge amount of value to this industry. So Summer, thank you so much for joining me. And hopefully we can do a catch-up call maybe a few months from now. We'll talk about that growth you went through and how you sold and everything else as well along the way. That would be amazing.
That would be fantastic. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Summer, for your time. And thanks, everyone. We'll speak to you all soon. Bye for now.
We're on a mission to help business owners just like you to get more customers into their businesses and to help you stand out from your competition. If you'd like to find out more about the ways we can help your business, check out our website at childcarebusinessgrowth.com.